Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another exciting Minecraft discussion. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am here to discuss with you, actually to kind of request to unplug the drug during the holidays. I mean, if you can keep that going and keep it on through the rest, your whole life, that's a good thing, because right now, quite honestly, I am so super concerned about where our world is going with the whole cell phone thing, because I don't think we've even begun to tap into, research-wise, the damage, especially after the whole coronavirus, because, we got way more into our phones and isolated. And what's the matter, Jay? Oh, he's just giving himself a little scratch over there. Because the fact is, what is meant to be a vehicle of connection is a huge, gigantic source of disconnection. And we also know that though it's anxiety and depression more complicated, certainly, that it's a direct road to becoming more anxious and more depressed. It's just a fact because of the social comparison involved. So social comparison in general is rough on us. And I did research back in 2018 on the well-being of college students is impacted by social media, right? And this man named Leon Festinger back in 1951, I'm pretty sure that was the year, circa early 50s, I'm pretty sure it was 51, came up with his social comparison theory. And even in the 50s, we were, comparing. It's human nature to compare. So, I've talked about Mr. Murphy sliding into his garage with, gee, quiet down. Slide into his garage with his new station wagon, back in the 50s. And then everybody's, well, how come my dad, because it's the 50s, how come my dad can't afford that for our family? And then, now it's amazing that Leon Festinger's theory can bridge right into 2022, because we're still at it, and now with this, and the teenagers and young adults have this 24/7, compulsion, this need to be connected because they might miss something. So meanwhile, valuable life minutes are sliding right down the rabbit hole. And that's also true for us seasoned grown-ups. I just hate to say it. We know for a fact when notifications go off, and there's like a ding, bing, buzz, whatever, there is an immediate mood change. It's usually not positive the high majority of the time. Okay, so here's some other things. Unplug the drug. Just society in general, because we're fast-paced, media saturated, and we are not in the moment, which is all there is to life. This is all we got. The life is here. Life is in session now, right? So there's that element. And also, there's just the disrespect. It's so freaking disrespectful. And I've talked about this before. There was a manager I had at somewhere that was not higher ed. We don't even use that word in higher ed, really. But he was just obnoxious. I mean, I can't even tell you. He'd walk around, there's a power differential. You're bartending, you're serving, or hosting, or doing whatever you're doing. And all of a sudden, he'd just be like answering something, even without the answering. Okay, let's just say it is leadership. You walk in with your phone. If you're just holding your phone, I can't show you right now because I'm vertically challenged. I'd have to do something. So your phone is here, okay? Just the manager, or Simon Sinek does a lot with this, actually. I really like him. And it's just the message to the employee is, I am not the most important thing to you right now. Even if you're not doing anything with the phone, you're just holding it. Next, we go out to lunch or dinner, or, oh, you know what? This is something you should bring up first. I think, speaking of Simon Sinek, he talks about the seasoned adults working will have the phone over here on their desk, often face down, which is not any less rude than having it face up. Okay, so it's face down, still in rude mode. And then the young adults, the bottom tier of the millennials and the Gen Zers, will have their keyboard here and their phone here. And they kind of do this. This is how they work, up, down, up, down, up, down. Imagine the neck, the back being ripped out of the moment and not fully engaged in work, because here's the thing. When we say, oh, I'm such a good multitasker. I had like 11 kids and 4 dogs and 3 cats and 5 chickens, and I worked 3 full-time jobs, and you should see me go. That's all crap. It's BS, because the mind is wired to do exactly one thing at a time. That's it. So if the young adult there is doing like this, only this much is going to whatever it is they're doing, work, that much, okay? The phones just take them away. Well, from children, you can't take them away from like a 50-year-old. You can have consequences, I suppose. You can politely request and ask, which is the nicest way to go. Hopefully a 50-something would respond well to that. The respectful back and forth of, I would appreciate it if you would, you know what I mean? But as far as children, take them away. You're the parent. Take it away. It's robbing them of their life minutes. That's it. That's being loving and kind. As a parent, we have to do what they need, not what they want. That's, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, if we really want, love them and want what's best for them, take it away. And, put limits. Doesn't mean you have to take it forever, but give them an hour, or come up with something. An hour, after school, or I don't know, and then put the rest of the time it's locked in mom's sock drawer, something. So anyway, so the whole disrespect thing. So the message of the phone goes back to call waiting. I remember Loretta LaRoche, comedian, who's one of my favorites, talked about this. She just barely passed away, I think at 90 something. Wow, I loved her so much, and I still do. She's somewhere. And she talked about when call waiting first came out, and she referred to it as call rude, because it's not different with cell phones. So you're on the phone, right, and then you're talking to somebody, and before the caller ID thing came later. So before that, you couldn't even check and see what phone number it was. It could be some 800 number, telemarketer, ignore it. But before that, you just had to take a guess. So all of a sudden you're on the phone, it just does this beep, and then you would answer it by pushing the hang up thing, except it wouldn't hang up, it would put the other person on hold. So what that message is, she was so funny with this. What this message is, can you hang on right there, loved one, okay, your family, friend, or even a work person, acquaintance. I'm just gonna hang up on you for just a second. Just stay right there to pause to see if this other person is more important than you are. Just you hold right there. Bad message, okay? And that isn't different with the cell phone turned up or down, because it's just as rude, okay? If it's not completely turned off and put away, it's rude. That's how it is. If this person can see it, it's rude. The back pocket may be this much better, but you can still, and then check. It should be off and put away. Especially as leaders, definitely know that. As parents, definitely know that. If you're on a date, definitely know that. Because the idea is, nobody who's on that phone should be more important than who's right in front of you. Excuse me, gotta get my tea. Thank you. Had a little tickle in my throat. Much better. Okay. So the disrespect thing. So how do we handle the disrespect thing? Maybe, the person who's we gotta talk about that first. Okay, let's go to that first. Because otherwise what I'm going to say isn't going to make sense. So there's something called fubbing. If you don't know what fubbing is, it's like snubbing only with a phone. So it's like those two things are merged. Phone, snubbing, fubbing. Okay? And I need to give somebody credit for this. Psychology Today, Gwendolyn Seidman, I think her name is, PhD. Anyway, she wrote a little blip of this in Psychology Today, the recent one. And so basically, that means being in a social situation, ignoring a friend or family member, date, acquaintance, whomever, the person in front of you, by checking a phone, ignoring them, you checking it, or you're even texting, or you, God forbid, you take the call when they're standing right there, or even taking the texting back when they're standing right there. But all of that put together, even just checking it, is under the term fubbing. So you're ignoring who's in front of you to engage with your phone on some level. Here's the freaking sass with this one. In a recent research, 90%, that's basically everybody. That's if you had 10 people, 9 of them are doing it. It's nuts. Admitted to snubbing family and friends, that they had experience of that. Now, the fubbing blind spot is even, takes it a step further, because then there was more research asking, are those fubbers? And they found that people were very annoyed when being snubbed themselves. Fubbed themselves. They attributed it to, they ignored me, and they were, and I'm not important, but then when they were the ones doing the fubbing, they found ways to, look up a fact that, like, so I don't know how they're looking up these facts that the phones enhance your well-being or whatever, but they look to put a positive spin on it. Well, I was just checking for this, or I was gonna da. And there was such a gap. Same thing. There's the fubbers and the fubbies. Yet we're way more annoyed when it's other people doing it to us than when we are doing it to other people. So that basically shows how out of it we are as far as reading the room and social intelligence with this particular thing we're talking about. And two, how self-centered we are. I mean, think about it. Why would it be different if somebody else was being ignored or we're being ignored, right? It's all rude. And it's also on a deeper level, it's rude and disrespectful, okay? And on a deeper level, which we just don't like to say this, but it's true, it's devaluing. I'm not valuing your time as much as mine, which is also when people are perpetually late. That'll be an episode for another time. It's this unconscious, like, my time's more valuable. You can just wait a couple seconds. Yeah, that's what we're saying, right? You're not important enough for me to hang up on them, for one, or you're not important enough for me to have it off completely to begin with. And it's demeaning and devaluing because that person's there standing there waiting for you with their valuable life minutes going like this, right? Well, you're checking some random thing on a piece of little mini computer. It's just so dumb. So how do we deal with the disrespect of the fubbers? Well, I can personally tell you you can be direct and just say, and which I do sometimes. I say, if they start to do that, because realize in social situations, that person may not be an evil demon, right? They might be a friend, a family member. We talked about it. 90% of people have done it. Or a boss, and it's a little awkward. I've still said that politely. If I was mid-sentence with that one particular manager I told you about, I'd say, you know what? You let me know when you're done. I'll be over here. And he was like, ugh. Well, yeah, it's, boundary. Doesn't matter what your power is. You're not treating me like that. I'm in my frame and I'm feeling good. And I was polite. I'll be right over here. Let me know when you're finished and I can go use my life minutes in my own way. So that I'm not just waiting for this guy, giving him my life minutes. Bullshit. Okay, now if that's any other kind of person of power, just be, I'm right here. You go ahead and take that and why don't you just let me know when you're through? Or the other thing you could do is just be quietly effective and don't say all that. But if depends on sort of where you are, I suppose. If you're in a place that has, like in an office situation where there are magazines or stuff you could grab, you're kind of giving the message if you gently move to the side, have yourself a seat on a couch or in a chair and grab a magazine. Cross your legs and just get really comfortable and start reading. That gives the message, and that's not rude. That's just sending a message that you're being self-absorbed and disrespectful and not valuing me. So figure it out and then get back to me. That's what it says. So that's how I would deal with it. Boundaries in place. Okay, so I think we got it. So is this these are really good tips for life in general, because it comes back to being mindful. All we have is being in the present moment. If we are not in the present moment, we are not living, because we can only long-term memory wise. Let's say you're at Thanksgiving. We just had that. Christmas, Hanukkah, or if you celebrate something else, or just in your life. It doesn't have to be that. Only what we attenuate to is what's going to long-term memory. So if you're zoning out to your phone, life minutes, this is not an exaggeration, are literally just evaporating, because none of it is going into long-term memory. Whatever's going on around you, and it's all exciting. Somebody's carving the turkey, just watch. The snow's falling, just watch. Listen to the banter, listen to kids banter going on. All that buzz is not, you don't want to tune that out. Those are memories for a lifetime. Even if you're not the one in the conversation, just take in the atmosphere. Even if you're watching the same two people argue. Cracks me up because, and actually, this is a good example for this, because our oldest daughter is currently in Florida, and she missed Thanksgiving, which is huge in this house. We alternate back and forth, and it was our turn. And my husband and his middle brother just banter like roosters over stuff. And it's funny. It's totally comical. It's not like deep and serious. Over stuff that happened in 1974. I mean, it's such a riot, like the paper route. And my husband built an empire, and his brother blew it and threw them behind the garage. It just goes on and on. It's the same exact stories every single year, which is why it's so funny. So just taking all that in. So our oldest daughter wanted somebody to catch them on camp, like just take a few minutes of that because she missed us so much, just so she could watch Dad and Uncle Kev banter about who sold the car and who charged who and who messed up the paper out, like nuts. So that stuff's don't tune that out. That's great. So please, pretty please, do yourselves all a favor and really embrace your life minutes. These minutes are a gift every day. And unplug the drug during the holidays. Be in your life and with whomever is right in front of you. Awesome. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the beautiful beautiful Northern Vermont. Have a mindful, cell phone free day.